Hello everyone, welcome back. We've got another supply drop today, and today we got Desert Heat. This is from the Nations at War series by Lock and Load, 2nd edition, and very excited to see this. And one of the things that I always look for, I'm a visual person, so I enjoy the cover that we have here on the front, because this is kind of how I envisioned North Africa. Lots of sand being kicked up by tanks and whatnot. So you also got some of the symbology for some of the combatants. You've got the German Africa Corps. It'll be interesting to see. You got Desert Rats. We'll have Americans, British. So yeah, very excited to try this out. Now I am familiar with 1st edition Nations at War, and my understanding is the rules are updated, obviously, for 2nd edition, clarified, updated. Counters have been redone, and we'll take a look at the counters. I don't have the old game to do a counter comparison, but we'll take a look at how it is. Also, then here's the back, so you got a nice description of the game. Some of the components are right here, and let's crack it open. Oh, it does have complexity and solitaire playability. It says solitaire, looks like it's pretty high, so we'll give it a peek here. So let's, whoa, as I bump the camera, that's always fun to watch. So I pre-cut the shrink wrap because I always struggle with that. Okay, so let's see. Now the sides of the box, just in case people are curious, because again, when I put these on my shelf, being a visual person, it's nice to see, identify a game by the artwork. Alright, so that's the side. And that's the side on all, so that works. Alright, so the lid is off. What do we have? So first thing that we have in the box, we've got 2 dice 6. We have a yellow die and a white die. I'm very curious to see the mechanics. I don't think there's any more dice. I just remember the old system. Now I played a little bit of White Star Rising 1st edition, that's my experience. And I think you needed a few more dice. So this only comes with 2. So I might have to include my own, or maybe this is all we need now. So that will be a learning experience for me. So we've got 2 dice. Just set those to the side here. Then we have, this is your core manual version 2. Now I like this idea too. The core rules. So if you can read through the core rules, then the idea is you can play any of the modules, and then the module will have module specific rules. So we'll go through this. Now right away, as we get ready to go, it's actually not a terribly thick, alright, but it does feel hefty. It has a nice, this is a very sturdy cover, which opens right up into the contents, and then we have right here a counter layout. This is great. Nice, large, clearly printed. I mean, if you got to come back to this, that's great. I could see myself possibly making a photocopy of that, just have it off to the side. We'll see player aids, maybe they have that for me already. You get into the introduction, general concepts, talks about the counters, unit nomenclature, definitions on some of the aspects like your AA firepower to hit rolls, things like that, so you get some definition of terms. Unit types. Again, not to bore you with grand details, but to give you an idea what's in here. So first of all, you've got, it's a glossy paper, fairly, again, kind of sturdy. It's not flimsy, but it has kind of that magazine quality to it. That's good. Then along as we start getting into description of the unit types, clearly tells you, this is what your infantry looks like. Here's your armored units, guns, gun batteries, mortar units, headquarter units. Great. Again, just more explanations of the unit types. So this has quite a bit. There's reconnaissance units, then you get into support weapons. Very thorough. Then you have formation markers, because this is a, if I remember from the old system, chit pull. So you'd have your units that you're playing, usually by like a division or platoon or battalion, and what you do is you put the chit that represents that group into a cup. So This looks like it could still very well be a chip pull system, so you'll have the unit markers. Then you have wire, anti-tank, improved position, mines, just trying to read upside down a little bit. Operation phase, so then you get into like the phases of the game. So that's setting up the game and playing. This does seem, I don't remember the rules being quite so much the first time through. So it seems like, if anything, they've really expanded on the rules, added a lot more examples. Looks like there's purple text, which might be additional. Like, you know, if you had the old rules, here's additional text, samples, examples, which is good. Examples never hurt, right? Whatever helps clarify the system out. Then we go into a nice section on combat. Hard targets, soft targets. And again, not reading you everything, but just there we go. We've now hit combat. We are 18 pages in. Now we've got defensive bonuses, some minefields, combat results. Okay, wreck if you blow it up. Let's see. Conducting an attack with mortars. What does that say? Augmented firepower. So combat is very thorough. Overrun. That takes up so far that's the largest section that we've looked at. Combat takes up the most pages. Then we get into line of sight considerations, defensive measures, mine removal. So you got like engineer actions, field work, wire, anti-tank ditches. Then we have battlefield chaos. So there's some chaos there, which has got a marker, looks like, and then some rules for that. Then we have fate points. Fate point abilities. Alright, good. Then additional rules. Covers some various aspects, anti-aircraft units. So, yeah, 31 pages, 32 pages. Get into leaders, 33 pages. And then Overwatch. This looks like the last section covered. Then you have Nations at War map changes. Okay, you got some map changes there. So that's 34 pages. That's hefty. Now, I mean, that's not going to be horrible for anyone to get through. In fact, what that means is this would support quite a wide variety of gaming situations. So as the modules come, again, if you know this core system, then it's just a matter of putting on specific for your theater of operations. So White Star Rising then was the Western Front. Then you have Stalin's Triumph, which is the East Front. And now we've got North Africa, which, here you go, the module rules. So let's go ahead and set aside the overall game rules for a moment. And now we have the module rules. And that also is a lengthy. So, you know, I know some people like streamlined rules, short rules. This actually looks like, because it's a system, right? It's several different modules. To me, when you have a lot of rules for like a system, perhaps, then you're showing, you know, attention to details. You're going to get some very specific, cover very specific situations. So that's not bad. Let's see. Again, you got your contents, got some counter explanations, got your introduction and module rules, some British, Americans, Italians, so a little background. And the magazine, it's the same quality, same type of magazine paper, nice thick cardstock cover to it. Defensive versus attacker engagements. So this will let you know, again, the core rules, but how the module will modify those core rules based on, time periods, special consideration for the type of terrain. Because it'll be desert. I'm curious. I'm lifting this up, taking a sneak peek at the map. I was really curious, like, how much of this would be flat open terrain versus hills and oases and things like that. Right into scenarios. So the core book had no scenarios. Your module is going to have scenarios. So actually, so far, it looks like the module rules aren't that many pages. This is going on because 1 is a cover, 2 is contents, 3. So pages 3 through 9 look like, well, actually pages 3 to 8 are your module rules. That's about 5 pages of rules. And some of that looks more informational than than rule. Scenarios. So no scenarios in the core book, but now you got your scenarios here. Laid out very well, so you can see, you know, which units are involved, which side, little note. And then over here, quite a bit of notes then. Special scenario rules, victory conditions, your map layout. You know, very standard, but it's not crowded. I've played plenty of other games where they try to fit everything like on one page, and then it just gets very crowded. So I don't mind if they want to take a couple pages per scenario here. Looks like this has got more scenario rules. Okay, little flyer. See, there's your White Star Rising, Stalin's Triumph, and Desert Heat. All right. Yep. Those are the three there. More missions. So we won't read all of them, but just give you an idea here. So quite a few. That's wow. This is a lot more than I expected. So far, yeah, we just passed the halfway point and we're still looking at scenarios. That's good. This is going to give you lots of gaming enjoyment. So, wow. I didn't even count how many scenarios. I lost track because it just keeps going. Just keeps going. Wow. Alright, what do we got here? And all the way to the end. Oh, that is amazing. So we said pages 3 through 8 were rules, and then pages 9 through 51 is all scenarios. This is a lot of gaming value for your dollar. Alright, so that's a tremendous amount of scenarios. Plus, eventually, I know from just past experience, if you hang out on the website for Lock and Load Publishing, sometimes you'll find additional scenarios, free scenarios sometimes. Also check the forums, go to Board Game Geek. I know that as a system picks up in support, not only from fans but the company, there will be more scenarios. People like to recreate historical situations, but you get a lot of scenarios right there in that book. So that is fantastic. Now let's take a look at the maps. Now this map, I got one map in my hand right here. This is something that I think is pretty common with Lock and Load Publishing. The map, they don't all have to be mounted. These are not mounted. This is a thick cardstock, but it's I'm not even sure what size you'd put that. I'm going to put this as like a small map. Compared to a lot of games, you have, you know, a lot of maps. So this will probably be geomorphic. But this is something that I enjoy sometimes. I have a lot of games with some really big maps, and sure, that looks great. I love pulling them out. It's a good experience, but sometimes I really enjoy watching people play on like one map. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing. You can put all of that game on one map. So let's see, this is map 14. So if you were to link this up with all the series, I think White Star Rising has like maps 1 through whatever. Stalin's Triumph has another series of maps, and I think that Desert Heat then just continues on that numbering session. So there you go. This has got Tebessa. Well, let's see what you can see here. Let's fold this up. So the map work is good. Now this is desert, right? Obviously, there's not a whole lot of excitement on desert maps, but the little bit you have is drawn well. You've got your little desert huts, villages, there's your oasis, and then there's some dunes. So that was exactly in my mind. What I was wondering is how much of this is flat open desert. Now I haven't read to see what the scale is, but when I'm envisioning desert combat, I'm envisioning they've got miles and miles of desert where it's just clear open. That's why, you know, you're going to set your defensive terrains up on these high spots and shoot down at everybody coming your way. So that'll be interesting to see how this plays out in the scenarios with this type of map. Now the maps aren't double-sided, so I just saw that right there. And I think there are a few more maps here. We'll see, right? So far I found one. Got one map. And the counters. Let me just take a peek real quick. How many counter sheets? This says, oh, 05 of 5. I have 5 counter sheets. That is a lot of counters. I need to purchase more counter trays for sure. I thought I had some laying around, but I couldn't find them. And let me flip these around so you can see in here. Oh boy, it'd probably be good if I could zoom in. Let me see if I can zoom in on these a little bit. Yeah. Oh, I don't want to get too blurry. But I'm a counters fan. I'm a visual person. I talk about that all the time. How do the counters look? And I'm looking. Okay, this is what I understand. Some changes they made from first to second edition. They improved the font. This is, I mean, it's clear. I can read it. I just remember reading in forums that some folks, they said, you know, I'm getting older. It's hard to read all the small numbers. And they're readable. I'll have to play and see what it's like from a distance looking down at the map. But everything seems very clear, legible. I can read the fine print explaining the unit. There's your unit type. It's probably right above it, maybe tells you what group it belongs to. Let's see. Yeah, read the dice symbol. I personally don't have a problem with reading the numbers. I think what I would like is a bigger picture of the vehicle. That's just me. I know what these things look like, and I can see the picture and it's clear. I think I would just like it if the vehicle itself was a little bit bigger. That's probably about all I can, you know, say. Trying to be fair and biased here, right? A little bit of criticism, but a lot of good things going on with the counters. And they're double-sided, of course. There you go. And I'm sure that's reduced. Oh, let's see. Infantry. Infantry have their half-track side and then the infantry side on the other. So once they mount. Well, that's good. I get tired sometimes of having to keep these huge stacks of units of, you know, here's the half-track, here's the infantry on the top or the bottom, and then you just have this thick stack just driving around of mounted infantry. So if it just flips, that's fine. Rec marker. Looks like command units for your, you know, units there for chit pull, metting. Yeah, so these are good. Now let me do this. I'm gonna pop one out. Ooh, good. I did that on purpose. Now that's something here that I see games moving towards, and I think that's fine. Is that the counters themselves are not in that traditional sprue where each counter connects to the next. These are all on an individual sprue section of their own, and then they pop right out. Now, what does that mean for collectors who like to corner clip? Well, if you're not a corner clipper, that's fine because these are slightly rounded. If you are a corner clipper, there's still enough of a corner that if you just want to have a justifiable reason to use your organ laminator cutter, which is what I use, I would still probably want to cut these just because I bought it, I want to use it. But these are actually perfectly playable right out of the box. Now they do have, actually this is really barely seen, right there on the sides, the nub where it connects to the sprue. I only bring that up because that's why traditionally a lot of people would clip the corners, is because that's how the counters connected to each other in a lot of traditional games. And so you clip the counter to get rid of that tuft of cardboard that fluffs up. But as you can see, these connect on the sides, but there's a very small nub. I think that if you were just to pop the counters out that you need for your scenario, you're good to go. You could just play right out of the box. So I'm going to put that back. So that said counter sheet 5 of 5. Oh, and that popped in really well. So for a little bit until I get some counter trays, I might be the type of person that will pop the counter to play and then stick it right back in the sprue. Alright, that works. So there's a counter sheet. Like I said, the only thing that I really would criticize on there is I wish the tank art was a little bit bigger, just so I can enjoy it, because I like to see the tanks. Alright, there's some Tigers there, Panzer IIs, or Panzer III, yeah, that's a Panzer IIF, Panzer IIIJs. So I have an assortment of vehicles. I don't see Panzer IVs because this was, you know, North Africa, so that's mostly 2s, 3s. Tigers for some of your later missions, probably for like Kasserine Pass and things like that. So we'll see. Just a guess. Alright, so I'm going to set that aside. Then we go to maps. Alright, so this is map 13. Again, let me zoom out now. We can show you the map. So the maps again are those, again, probably geomorphic, and they've added in some more dunes here just to break up that visual boredom, right? Because desert, not a whole lot, right? It's not forest, it's not trees, it's not a whole lot of rivers. And you got some more dunes here. Again, I'm just imagining whatever defender is going to put their troops up on that ridge, and whoever's got to cross the open. So we'll see. There we go. Here's some more counter sheets. So the counter sheets in here are out of sequence. So that was counter sheet 5 of 5. Here's 2, and again, yeah, flip the box so they're upright a little bit. Don't need to show you every single counter, but I did find, I saw it upside down. Lieutenant Schleifer. I thought I saw Rommel on here. Rommel. Nope, I guess no Rommel. Alright, but there we go. We got more tanks, more infantry. There's some of your concealment markers. American tanks down here. There's some Stuarts. And that was counter sheet 2. Okay, what else do we have here? This one is counter sheet 4 of 5. Yeah, let's see, Lieutenant Cole, that's British. So here's some of your British. This is Italian, right down here. We got some Italian units. Okay. Lieutenant, probably can't pronounce. I'm reading it upside down. I don't want to mispronounce the name. There you go. So you've got some British units. You got some Italian units. So there you go. That's already four nations, right? So there's Americans. You got some British. You got some Italians. You got your Germans. I think that's some more Americans there, some more British. And this particular counter sheet is 3 of 5. There's a lot of counters. I didn't look on the backs to tell you how many counters there were, but this is a lot of counters. So this game is definitely going to give you lots of things to push around and play with. And then we have here, this is sheet number 1. No vehicles here that I can tell, no infantry. This is all status markers. Great. Smoke, acquisition, mines, wire, fate, barrages, improve positions, out of command. Alright, so good. Chaos. There's a couple of chaos ones. And looks like another map. That's map 11. So far we have map 11, 12, 13, and 14. This one I saw some houses, but there you go, a lot of open terrain, so rough terrain there. But this would be the map for your wide open engagements because there's not any sand dunes or oases. Great. Player aids, let's flip that around. Alright, the player aid. It's not only a blog, it is an actual thing that comes in your box. So here we have player aid number 1. This tells you your NATO symbology. Yeah, that was something that we didn't quite talk about on the counters. The counters are a mixture of vehicle, silhouette, and then like the infantry and a lot of the soft stuff. Also, some of it has a picture, like the infantry example here shows the helmet, but it also has a NATO symbology. I think my fingers are covering that up. So there's your NATO symbology on the counter. So it's kind of a nice mixture. Also down here then is your turn track. So you have a separate turn track. Alright, so that's player aid 1. Instead of turning the box, I could just take the aid out. But here we got unit point cost. Oh, fantastic. That was something else I had read about this. It said it did include a mission generator. So as I flipped through the rules, I didn't see mission generator rules, but that's because I just quickly flipped through the rules. However, what I'm seeing are point value for units. I absolutely adore point value for units because even if you don't have a system for generating a scenario, your points can be a system. That's how you can check for balance. Now, with that in mind, if you were doing specifically defender attacker, you know, you want to make sure that the defender has fewer points, because generally the defender has an advantage already. They just have to sit and shoot at stuff, right? The attacker has to cross open terrain. That's why they bring so much more stuff, because they know they'll lose things. But anyway, here you have unit point cost. So I'm excited to see that. So even if there's not like a separate generator that you roll on and it tells you what to pick, just the fact that there's a point value is awesome. Now with a point value, which I will probably explain this in every video that I do where someone includes points, is you can do competitive play, right? People do it with their miniature games. You can do it with the board game as well. You and your face-to-face opponent, whoever you're playing against, can say, hey, let's make a 200-point game. Boom, get your sheet, pick out 200 points worth of equipment, and now you're fighting on the map board. I've done it. It works great. So again, now we have another unit cost sheet. This one here definitely looks like American forces. Just set down the German regular. This one says British forces. Let me grab it here. Being stubborn. Come on, sheet. Don't make me get the tweezers. All right, then there's your British forces points chart. Oh, and I forgot to flip over. Here's some on the back. I didn't check all the others if they're double-sided, but we'll look when we put them back. Oh, here's a rules summary sheet. Always nice. Usually this is something that I see come out in games like on Board Game Geek. Somebody will put together a nice summary, but they've done that for us already. Alright, so I will definitely be using that as I learn the rules. Then here's your chaos table. Alright. This is where the bad things happen. Tweezers. Let me just read us a couple. Fate point, roll 1 dice 6. If the result is even, this is an allied event. If odds, it is access. Okay, you get 1 fate point. Oh, that's nice. So chaos table doesn't look like it's all bad. Okay, that's good. So we have a few results there. 2 through 12. Well, at least there's enough. There's at least 11 chaos events. Medic, Man of Action, Stars Born. Actually, it's called Chaos, but so far all the ones I've looked at are good, except for Friendly Fire. Alright, okay, so let me back that up a little bit. Friendly Fire is bad. Miscommunication sounds bad. So there's a couple bad things in there, but a lot of good for your Chaos. And you got to have your terrain chart. So even though we're in the desert, you still got some terrain to contend with that might affect movement, even if it doesn't affect line of sight. Alright, so you get quite a bit in here. Alright, let's put it back in. So here you have your chaos table with terrain effects chart on the back. You also get a two-sided rules summary page. You also get several unit point cost sheets. So you have one for the British, which is double-sided. You have one for American forces, which it's you've got Americans on one side, and then you have French forces on the back side. Alright, so we've got the French that are out here as well. Then on this one you have German regular forces. Alright, and then on the back it looks like some more German regular forces. Okay, so a lot of German units. We then have the Italian forces chart, which has got a lot of units on one side. On the back for Italian, it does have a section for artillery and some great artwork. I did not look for artwork on the other ones, but I say artwork, but like a digitized photo. Took a photo and kind of doctored it up a little bit. Very cool. But there you go. So what is that? That's Italians, Germans, British, Americans, French. So that's 5 nations in here. It's a lot. Then you have your player aid, which has your NATO symbology meanings. Again, it shows you your definitions of the different numbers and values that are on your counters. Then we have some maps. Alright, so my maps here is map 11. Then we have some counter sheets in no particular order. We had counter sheet 1, which looks like your status markers. This here counter sheet, I'm going to say British. and just a few of the Americans. This has, let's see if I can tell. That could be Italians. Yeah, so this sheet here has some Italians, and then it's got some more British, Italians and British up here. Pretty sure if I'm reading that correct. Then we had down here, looks like some more of the Americans. You got some of the French, a couple more status markers. That was sheet number 2. Then we had a few more maps. So then we had map 12. We have map 13. And this was counter sheet number 5 of 5, which had a lot of, I just want to make sure here we're good. Yeah, this is pretty much all German counters. Then finally we had one more map sheet. So that's several map sheets. Well, 11, 12, 13, 14. So what, 4 map sheets, and then you've got 5 counter sheets. So a lot of counters. Then you have a gorgeously set up module rules. Again, thick with scenarios. Yeah, once you get through some of the rules, oh no, that's all scenarios there you got, yeah, but yeah, lots of scenarios. So you will be playing many missions. Then you have the core rules for 2nd edition. So again, another nice illustrated magazine, thick cover, nice glossy paperwork on the inside. And the core rules themselves, you know, I don't want to say are beefy, but from what I remember 1st edition, yeah, this seems to be bulked up a bit. So that's great. Then you have the box cover. Oh, the box made some noises there. That was the box. And there you go. This is Desert Heat 2nd edition, Nations at War. That's everything you get. So thank you so much for watching. You know, if you've got this yourself, you want to share some comments, please do. Otherwise, again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next supply drop.